Okay, Allison, take us back because I want to start with you. What led you here from soccer to strength coaching, and how did this whole path unfold for you?
Well, I always start my story with soccer. I say it like was my first love. I grew up as a soccer player, playing pretty competitively. Played in college, Division 1, and then that turned into a bit of like a semi-pro career. And instead of going to law school after college, I definitely had one of those like career crises where it was like, I need to get a job. You're graduated, you need to support yourself. Took the LSATs, got into law school, but was like, this is like a lot of money and a big commitment. What am I going to do? So I deferred for a year. Actually, not a lot of people know this. I deferred law school for a year and started coaching soccer at my alma mater after I graduated. So I was the volunteer coach there. I took on like 3 or 4 youth teams to like make ends meet while still working at a law firm. And once I started coaching college soccer, it was kind of like game over. I love this. Never went to law school and started my coaching career. Moved around to a couple different universities. And when I was coaching college soccer, there was a disconnect between what the women were doing in the weight room and kind of the resources that the women were given in the weight room, the type of programming that they were given, and how that translated onto the field. Now, it has come a long, long way since then. But as I was coming up, it was like a lot of like football guys that were throwing together programs for the women's soccer team as like a second thought. And I had a lot of interest in that. I had a lot of interest in training load, had a lot of interest in like putting together a full program for our women's soccer teams. So I basically took on the strength and conditioning piece, the stuff that was going on in the weight room, but also how that worked with what we were doing on the soccer field, right? Like they have to go hand in hand. What are the starters doing versus the non starters? Are we in season? Are we out of season? Are we in preseason? What does their summer fitness packet look like? So I was taking kind of this 30,000 foot view, which basically in the strength and conditioning world, hello, periodization, and layering that with their loading on the field. So, what does a pregame practice look like? Postgame practice? What are we doing 2 days before a match, 3 days before a match? Because in college soccer, you're playing 2 days a week, which for soccer players is a lot. So, kind of like long story long, like that's really where I got my strength and conditioning kind of footing, was doing it at the Division 1 level in this hybrid approach because normally it's very siloed. You kind of hand over your team to the strength and conditioning staff. Well, I was looking at GPS data, heart rate data, training load data, game data, and integrating that with what we were doing in the weight room. So I did that for years, kind of moved to a couple different programs. And then because of a family move, basically, I had 2 babies while I was doing all of that. So, like, bringing the newborn on the sideline of the soccer field, breastfeeding, during halftime under the stadium jacket type of like making it work. Um, and then my husband took a job that basically took me away from college coaching. And at that point in my life, I didn't want to I didn't want to deal with trying to be the primary person for my kids as my husband was traveling and dealing with his career stuff along with the rigorous schedule. And so at that point, I had kind of started my business as like this side hustle, and it became the full-time gig. I just went all in, was like, I'm really good at coaching. I'm really good at writing strength and conditioning programs. Let's see how I can do this. Little did I know that running a business is a whole other thing than like the actual coaching and strength and conditioning piece. But those skills were so dialed in that I knew I could deliver. And I went all in on my business and growing that instead of being a college soccer coach.
It's incredible. So, what I'm hearing from that is that you have experience and qualifications to help us.
Yes, and yes.
Okay. So, I want to dig into all of that because I'm so excited to hear from you. But before we do, I also want to hear just about where you are because you're experiencing aging. You're in the same demographic as the women who are listening. And so,
Mhm.
what have you noticed in your own body?
I think once you hit a certain age, I think just the life demands are different. And what I have found is that it's actually in the identity shifts that the most powerful change comes. So I held on to soccer player, soccer coach, being really, really fit all of the time. I held on to those as identities. And it wasn't until I actually had kids where I was like, oh my God, like these injuries kept popping up. It was actually after kids that I tore my ACL, where I wasn't able to perform in ways that I had when I was a very competitive high level athlete. And I think even if you're not, or you never were like a Division I college athlete, there are pieces of your identity that you define yourself by. And when they are taken from you, what comes next? And for me, that was a super powerful journey because I did have to redefine my own relationship with my body, not based on performance, not based on numbers, not based on like, oh, look how good Allison is at X, Y, and Z. What do I make that mean for my own self-worth? And so as I got older and kind of transitioned into these new roles, took on being a mother, took on being a business owner, what did I make that mean about my self-worth? That was actually more of an identity shattering and rebuilding than like, sure, I'm getting older and my life has different stressors. When you have little kids, you're not sleeping. You're just not sleeping, right? People are like, oh, get 8 hours of sleep. Like, bitch, I wish I could get 8 hours of sleep, but I'm up breastfeeding or I'm up dealing with a sick toddler. Like, I want to sleep. Believe me, I can't, right? So your recovery looks a lot different. Your nutrition looks a lot different. Like I'm eating chicken nuggets and mac and cheese as like leftovers from my kids, but like your life looks different. Part of that is coming to terms with that, but part of that is also those identity shifts that you go through and being able to be aware of them, be a bit more gentle with yourself to get to the other side of those things because you're redefining your relationship with your body.
That was so good. Thank you for walking us through that. I related so much. All right, so now let's get into the strategy, okay?
Okay, bring it.
um okay. So first, let's just start with a lot of our listeners, they're 30s, 40s, 50s. Maybe they haven't been
Mm,
working out in months, sometimes years, and they
mm.
want to feel stronger. They want to feel more capable for their lives. So, what do we need to do first? Just like that first initial step.
So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you two parts to this. So stick with me. The I say kind of easy, normal answer that I actually think we hear a lot all the time is the very actionable things that you can implement. You need to start where you are. If you haven't been working out for a long time, you can't jump into 5 days a week of strength and conditioning. You need to start 2 days, maybe 3 days. Can you go for a 10-minute walk around the block? Can you get that pair of dumbbells off of Facebook Marketplace and add in some resistance training? Can you fill up your water bottle in the morning and start drinking more water? There are small things that you can do to meet yourself where you're at. Now, I say all of that as most people listening would be like, yeah, I know that. I know that. I know I should go for a walk instead of scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. I know I should grab my water bottle instead of, whatever sugary drink. We know these things. And so my philosophy, and actually where I think we need to start, and this is way harder, way more difficult, takes way more time, and is way more effective, is actually identifying where you need to unwind certain stories that you've told yourself. So what I find with the clients that I work with, they come to me with, I want to get strong, or I want to lose weight, or, whatever the surface level goal is. And what we find after doing some digging is that they've been told certain things about their body. They've been told certain ways that they need to move their body that are valuable, that make them, they're told, are more valuable. And they come with these very concrete ideas. And I actually work to help them see that that may not be true, right? Women are given certain options around our body that we're told are valuable. If you are thin, if you're skinny, if you're toned, if you're shredded, society tends to dismember women's bodies, the shoulders, the glutes, the abs, all of those different body parts that you then need to morph and change to end up fitting into certain boxes that are deemed valuable. And there is a certain amount of privilege that comes with that, right? Like thin privilege is a thing. I'm, a white woman that has thin privilege, that I don't get looked at sideways if I order a cheeseburger if I go out, right? Like those are privileges that I am afforded because of the way I look. And so we try to fit those molds. And so the women that come to me that want to get strong, that want to lose weight, come with this ideal that society has handed us that is told is valuable. Our work is to, number one, understand that maybe we never decided that in the first place. Like I grew up in the 90s with all of those thin, rail thin models, Victoria's Secret models that were these standards of beauty. That was just ingrained in me, right? To strive for those things. Are you still striving for that because you think that's valuable? And I think taking a deep dive into that is really important. And that's kind of the structure, the foundation that I want to lay for my clients and the women that I work with, so that when they come into my program, we're using strength training, we're using my programming as a way to practice those things, to practice what is my body capable of, to practice I am enough now. Not after I finish this workout, not after the 10 pounds, not after the back squat PR, but where is my self-worth? And can I see myself as enough now? Like that on like a grand scale is really what I'm going for. So when like I get asked the question, like, where do we start? Well, we have to recognize that like the standards, the starting line that we've been given is kind of fucked up to begin with. So if you can understand that that starting line that's given to you is really messed up, then you get to dictate your own starting line. And to me, that starting line is I am enough. I am worthy now in this body that I've been given. And if I want to work to change the aesthetics of it, the performance of it, the health of it, yes, let's do that. But we have to start from a place of enough, from being worthy versus I need to fix myself. I need to change myself and then I'll be happy. Because then you get really stuck in this if then conundrum. If I lose 10 pounds, I'll be happy. If I hit that back squat PR, I'll be happy. If I finish or run that marathon, I'll be happy. I promise you, it doesn't work that way. How can we unravel those things to really change that starting line for you, for the women that I work with? And then we get to add in the 2 days a week of strength training, add in the 10 minutes of walking, add in the X amount of ounces of water, right? Like the easy applicable things. So there you go. There's my 2-part answer, probably way more than you asked for. But I'm really passionate about that like story that women are given and how we change that.
Way better than I asked for. It was so, so good. So lay it out. What would a strong, effective week look like for a woman in their 40s for their exercise?
I'm asking what women want to be doing, what they like to be doing. So if you want a strong, effective strategy, you also have to have a strategy that you're going to stick to. So if I tell you strength train 2 to 3 times a week and you're like, I hate strength training, that's not going to be an effective strategy for you. So number one, what do you like to do? What are you going to do consistently? So I am a proponent of resistance training. Like the benefits to women as we age are it's a laundry list. Better bone health, better ligament health. We want lean muscle mass, like all of these benefits to resistance training. And I think there is this idea around like lifting heavy. I'm using air quotes. Like you need to lift heavy. That is relative, right? There can be somebody that can pick up a 5 or 10 pound dumbbell and that's heavy for them. Or you might need to be loading a barbell 200 or 300 pounds. That's heavy. Heavy is relative based on your training age. So not necessarily like I'm a 42-year-old woman. I have a training age of like over 30 years because I've been in a weight room training since I was like 12, right? That's a long training age. If you just started a year ago, your training age is like 1. You have to really respect the training age. Lifting and strength training is a skill. So like any skill, we have to practice that. So in my ideal world, it's doing things you love and will stick to. Strength training, resistance training, 2 times a week minimum. 3 would be great. And I also want women doing some type of cardiovascular exercise. And I know we love like cardio bunnies and sitting on an elliptical for hours and hours. I want you to think about how we're developing energy systems. So instead of like cardio burns more calories and like weight loss, I come at cardio from an energy systems development perspective. So we're looking at your aerobic system. So think longer distances, like your big engine versus anaerobic. So can you produce a lot of power very quickly, and how you recover? So like marathon runners have a big aerobic system. Olympic lifters and sprinters have a well-developed anaerobic system. We want you developing your cardiovascular system for heart health. How do you do that? Working different energy systems. So going for a long, slow jog, longer walks, maybe a hike. Can we get you doing some resistance on a bike, on a stair stepper, doing sprinting? How often are you sprinting? We think like, I'm too old for that. You just haven't trained for it. So there's like the ideal of like what I can spout to somebody who is listening, but I don't know your life. I don't know your abilities. I don't know your training age, your goal, all of these factors that come into play. And this is one of the problems as we're building those ideal, air quote, plans, is that we go out onto the internet or we listen to podcasts of like people like me, like, oh, she's got so much experience and so much expertise that I need to go strength train 3 times a week, and I need to go sprint, and I need to go hike with my toddler on my back. Like maybe that's not your life. So there is some like individuality that needs to be built into those things. That's why having a coach who really listens to your needs, that does have the experience, the expertise, that isn't just some Instagram fitness influencer that you want to have their body. You don't have their life. You're not a professional athlete. You're not a professional influencer who does that for a living. You can't compare. They're not comparable. So there is like what's ideal and what's suggested, and then there's reality. What are you going to do?
We've had some other people on the podcast, and they talk a lot about women in this stage of life and perimenopause and the stress that they're already feeling and carrying. And then maybe their workouts used to feel good and it used to benefit them. And now maybe our stress load is too high, and it's actually like you feel like you're overdoing it. Is that something that you've noticed? Is that something we really need to be watching out for?
I think stress is stress. The way your body deals with it and responds to it is going to directly impact the way you feel in your workouts. So, for example, right now I'm going to a CrossFit gym. I've never done CrossFit before. Like, again, training age of like over 30 years. I know how to strength train. I know how to push myself. You should have seen those preseason soccer tests I was doing. I've never done CrossFit style workouts on a consistent basis, and they are high intensity and they are density training. So when I say density training, it's like packing a lot, like doing as many reps as possible, doing as many rounds as possible in a very short amount of time. So what happens is that your skill level the ability to perform at like max power goes down very quickly. I feel crushed after I do those workouts. I can't do them every day. Like I now see when people are like, oh my gosh, I got so burnt out on cross. And this isn't like any indicate like no hate to CrossFit, because I actually love going to the gym and seeing the people and having a workout just handed to me. But I know myself that after I get done with that high intensity workout, that they're not more than like 15 minutes, right? Of like burpees or box jumps or running or cleans or like, right? These like high intensity exercises. There is no rest period. You're like, go, 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 go. Doing that consistently again and again and again doesn't allow my body to recover and rest like I need. right? Versus maybe a different style of workout, doing a high intensity 1 day a week. And then you're doing more regular strength training with, reps that have rest built in, where I can recover after that workout and be ready the next day to come back and do something else. I think the style of training that you're doing, based on where you are in your life, can really affect those things. I'm also running a business. I'm running kids around. I'm dealing with all of the lifey life stuff that we deal with, like paying mortgage, getting groceries. What the fuck am I going to cook for dinner again tonight? Right? Like, life puts stress on you. And if your workouts are high intensity and density training and like demanding a lot of you every day, that's more stress. There's good stress that we need for adaptation to happen, right? Like, training is stress. We want that. And at a certain point, you start to dig yourself a hole. And if you don't allow rest and recovery, you just become more tired and more tired and more tired. So choosing the right type of training for you based on the stressors that are in your life, based on what you can manage, I think is really, really important. Matching those things.
Super helpful. Yeah. Because sometimes when it's explained, you almost feel a little bit like damned if you do and damned if you don't.
One of the things that I really want to emphasize for my clients, again, they're inside my programs, they're doing my strength and conditioning stuff. Like, autonomy is really sexy, y'all. Like, just because one expert, air quotes, says something on a podcast doesn't mean that it's like hard and strict rule for you. You are the authority on your body. Full stop. And you have to start believing that. Like, truly, you really have to start believing, no, I am the authority on my body. We've been told everybody else knows better. Everybody else knows better about hormones and macros and gut health and like all of these, it's a lot out there. At the end of the day, you are the authority on your body. And it does take some well, let me try CrossFit. Let me see if this kind of workout might work for me. Nah, that's too much for me. Maybe can add in some yoga and Pilates. Like, there's so many ways to move your body. You need guidance, and you are the authority. And I want women to really get that. Because everybody else will tell you what to do with your body until you start taking that back.
Let's talk about the all or nothing mindset. That's something that I do a lot. It's like, okay, I'm going to start this program or this workout or whatever it is, and I do it, and then life happens and I miss it. And then I'm immediately spiraling into shame. And then you're like, okay, now I have to start back at the beginning. Or let's talk about that really common thing for women.
It's so common. So I would love to hear more about you and the programs that you start and what you're hoping to get out of them. And then what happens that you miss one workout, you miss a week of workouts, what happened in your life to then get you into that spiral. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. I want you to share.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like I just jump around. I work out at home because town is 30 minutes away from me. So that's not something that works for my life. So it's just who's interesting, who I saw on social or YouTube, and let me try this program for a little bit. That has changed. And I've tried a lot of different things. It seems like Pilates has done good things for my body. That's when I noticed, oh, okay, I was getting results and I didn't feel like I overdid it or hurt myself. I did weightlifting and loved it. That was fun to feel strong, but I started to notice that my body felt like it was holding on to inflammation and I felt really puffy. So while I was having fun doing the workouts or feeling strong, it was making me feel worse inside my body. So, yeah, I shift around to a lot of different things, always just trying to find something that feels good and works. And then maybe I start to get those results that I'm after. And then, like January through February, I've got 5 kids. One of us was sick, or I was sick for that's 8 weeks. Like that just kept happening. And so everything gets pulled, and immediately, like, you're just like, ugh. I have to restart. I'm back at the bottom. I'm out of shape. I mean, that just plays into like everything that you don't feel good about yourself. Like I can't stay consistent. I failed at this.
Like this experience, like what you are just sharing, is so common.
Mm.
And I bet all of your listeners that are listening are going like this. Like I had like a very much like close my eyes, nod my head. Yup. Been there. Is so, so common. And so I think, first of all, to know that that's common, to know that you're not alone in that experience. And here's something that I work on with my people, with my clients. That should be part of the plan. So you're given a program, right? It's 4 days a week. It's Pilates based, it's strength based, it's cardio based, like whatever kind of that goal is should align with your program. You're given the program, you're given the plan. What happens when life pops up? You have 5 kids who get sick. And then what? So to have the flexibility within your plan, the flexibility within your mindset as well, to understand that I'm going to have this plan and the plan will not go to plan. Then what? So one of the things, like here's some very actionable things that like I do inside of my programs with my clients. We offer calendar adjustments. Like immediately you reach out, hey, I missed a week. Great. I move your workouts down. I adjust that calendar for you, because this feeling of, oh, I'm behind, I'm off the plan. When you are, oh my God, I mean, how many of us are like type A perfectionists? Like, I want to be productive. I want to like get the gold star. We have been indoctrinated into this gold star mentality of sticking to the plan. And if I don't, then I'm the problem. You are not a problem. The plan is. And so when we can have some flexibility within the plan to be able to pivot it, to be able to adjust because your life happens, you can see that you're not the problem. Your life isn't the problem. You actually can stick to things. Like Chelsea, you just told me like at least 3 or 4 programs that you've done. I'm like, oh, okay, this chick can stick to a program. It's just when your life pops up, you internalize that as I'm a problem. I can't stick to things. I'm not consistent. And we are told, we're given this lie of individualism that I need to figure it out. I should be able to handle this. I should be able to do all of these things. That lie keeps you stuck, because the truth is that it actually takes community. You actually need support, whether that's a coach, part of that is the program, part of that is getting your family on board. Maybe it's going to a gym as part of your community. Maybe it's a neighbor that you're going walking with. You actually need community. Community is how you succeed. And we have gotten so far away from community care and thinking this lie of individualism is how I'm going to succeed, that when your life pops up, you think you're the problem. So number one, recognizing that like that's a lie, that's bullshit. And when your life pops up, being able to pivot, being able to be flexible with the plan. And then the last thing I'll say, I like to use fitness as a practice. You were always practicing something. And if your practice is telling yourself, I'm not consistent, I'm out of shape, I have to restart. Number one, you're not restarting. I call it the begin again. So my clients are never starting over. They're just beginning again, right? It doesn't negate the work, the programs that you've done. We're just beginning again where you are. And can you meet yourself with compassion? So there's this piece that's like, you need to notice when that starts to happen. Like notice the thoughts, get curious about those thoughts so that when they pop up, you could be like, oh, there she is. Hello. It's nice to see you again. You're kind of being a brat. Can we not? And offering that brat a bit of compassion. Like, I see you trying to like push me to be productive and to be a better version of myself and all these things that you want. That's not helpful right now. I have 5 kids, 3 of which are sick, and I'm feeling under the weather. Right now, I just need some grace and compassion, and the weights aren't going anywhere. I'll get to it. And when I do, it will be great. So that compassion piece is really important, because if you continue to just like berate yourself, like fuck that. Who wants to be coached that way? And yet you're saying, you literally were like, I'm out of shape. You have this negative self-talk. I have to restart again. And that's so common. And so this conversation around like all or nothing, we want like in the online fitness space, there's this shift of like, instead of all or nothing, maybe it's all or something. But there's a lot of pieces around getting curious, using compassion, and practicing that versus, oh, it's the program's fault. It's the coach's fault. I'm going to blame all of these external things because I wanted the answer and they didn't give me the answer, instead of getting curious around that internal reframe.
Okay, I know that time is getting a little limited, but there's still a couple little quick things I do want to hear from you. You just talked about how important like community is, and I know for a lot of women, like going to a gym, being part of a class, that would be really impactful, but it can feel really scary. Going
Totally.
into a gym
Totally.
can be so overwhelming. So, what do you say to women who are feeling that?
Again, I think really normalizing that you're not alone, and some really actionable things that you can do if you do want to go to a gym to like, hi, I work from home for my business. Like I need to get out of my house and not just be talking to my dogs all day. Signing up for like a tour or a walkthrough or an introduction type of thing. Like I walk into gyms and like, I don't know what half those machines are doing. Like, and I've been in this business for a while. Signing up for some type of walkthrough, teach me the machines, where are the different areas, so that you kind of understand what the layout, what the lay of the land really is. That can be really helpful. Can you rope in a friend? I'll go be a goofball with my girlfriends and we'll laugh at each other. That's a much different experience than walking in by myself and feeling like people are looking at me. So can you rope in a friend? Can you sign up for a class? Is there a yoga class? Is there some type of like group fitness class that you'd be able to kind of dip your toe into? And then the other thing I'll say is having a plan, like, having a coach, having a plan so that you're not just like wandering around, like wondering what to do next. I really like to, because I am new at my gym. So when I walked in, I liked being able to pull up the app on my phone, look at my workout and say, okay, I'm going to go kind of claim this corner over here. And I put my water bottle down and my phone, and I get the dumbbells that I need and I bring them over, and I get the medicine ball that I need and I bring it over, and I kind of just make a corner for myself. to be able to do my workouts. And I think that's something that I know makes me feel a lot more comfortable when I'm in a new space.
What do you say to the woman who's just it's like they want it. They want to do it. They want the results, but they're just so unmotivated. There's no motivation there to do it.
Motivation actually isn't a feeling. It's something that like can come and go based off of like the actions that you take. So instead of waiting for motivation to occur, we want to think more behaviors that are going to help you get towards your goal. So something that I see like signing up for a program, that can be very motivating because you're like, ooh, bright, shiny, new thing that I want to do. And then focusing on how to make that a part of your routine. So are you getting up before I'm like, I'm not getting up before my kids. Like I cannot do that 5 a.m. Nope, not happening. After my morning routine of dropping my kids off to school, that is my time to work out. Right. And sometimes I'm like, I can't go to the gym. I just don't want to. So I'm like, fine, I'll go take the dogs for a walk. Right. Like, but that time is part of the routine. It's not about motivation. Most of the time, people that are achieving the goals that they want, they're in the yuck. It's not in the like I stay motivated and I want to do this every day, or I want to work out 3 times a week. Absolutely not. It's in this is part of the routine. This is when you can start internalizing, like, I am a person who works out. I am a person who is invested in my health. I am a person who chooses to drink the water, whatever. That's your identity, right? Instead of, oh yeah, I have to go do this thing or I need to be motivated. Motivation, we need it to get started. So what do you need to sign up for the program? Do you need to join the gym? Do you need to hire the coach? Like that will be the motivating factor to like get started. But once you get started, now we have to look at behaviors that you can take to move you towards those goals that you want. And I promise you, you won't want to do it all the time. It just won't be there. So building in the behaviors and the actions as part of the plan when that motivation is gone is really, really key.
Wow, I loved that. Okay, one more question, and then I want to hear
Yeah.
about where we can find you and work with you. But what do you want every woman who's listening to just believe about themselves, their body, their strength, and their future?
That you are inherently enough now. You have enough. You do enough. You are enough. And to believe that and to embody that as your starting point.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to end? I love that. Okay, tell us about where we can find you, follow you, work with you, join a program, all those things.
Oh, I am living my best life on Instagram. So I am at Allison Tenney on Instagram, and I'm super active over there, posting lots. I'm in my DMs all the time. You can creep on my website, AllisonTenneyFitness.com. And I have 2 programs that are open that you can join. They're called The Den, which is my more foundational strength and conditioning program for women. And I also have Alpha, which is a bit more geared for athletes. We are very much wolf themed over here because the women that are in my programs are really part of the pack. And so everybody that joins is one of the wolves.
This was incredible. I'm so glad you came. It was so different than I was expecting from you and in such a more profound, better way. Like, this is not at all what I thought was coming, and I couldn't have asked for something better. So, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I hope it's still available for your listeners and
Of
impactful.
course.